Here are the top stories for today, September 15, 2020. President Duterte approves filing of charges against Philhealth executives. President Duterte requests to the public to ignore criticisms hurled against the COVID-19 response. Lance Corporal Joseph Scott Pemberton to face another trial in the U.S. And Cebu province says it will not meddle in Manila Bay rehabilitation project. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte approved the recommendation of an interagency task force to file criminal and administrative charges against resigned Philhealth President and Chief Executive Officer Ricardo Morales and other senior officials. More on this from Janice Cave.
The Interagency Task Force investigating irregularities in the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, or Philhealth, submitted its 177-page initial report to President Rodrigo Duterte. In its report and recommendation submitted to Duterte, Task Force Philhealth said the totality of the evidence presented supports the conclusion that wrongful acts or omission on the parts of certain key corporate officers of the Philhealth have been committed. Others recommended to be charged are Senior Vice President and Chief Information Officer Jovita Aragona, Senior Information and Communication Technology Officer Calixto Gabuya Jr., Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer Arnel De Jesus, SVP Ernesto Limsiaco Jr., SVP Israel Pargas, and Division Chief Bobby Crisostomo. The task force said the officers of the Philhealth Executive Committee exhibited negligence and administratively and criminally liable under Republic Act 1319 or the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Law and Revised Penal Code. The task force also recommended that Duterte strongly admonish and remind the chairman, Health Secretary Francisco Duque, and members of the Philhealth Board of the grave consequence of their actions or inactions to Philhealth Fund.
The issue of PhilHealth and corruption was really an important issue to the Filipinos and to everybody. And everybody, again, is also placed in jeopardy by the actions of the officials. I'm sorry for them, but they would have to undergo trial. Although they can always prove their guilt beyond reasonable doubt. Wala namang the presumption of innocence still attaches.
The task force says it is awaiting any further directives from the President. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
President Duterte slammed some drug companies for asking deposits for their yet-to-be-developed COVID-19 vaccine. He pointed out that the one thing wrong with those firms is they're all for profit. The president said it is one reason preference is given to Russia and China, provided, however, that their vaccine is as good as any other in the market. Duterte also explained that it's against the law to purchase non-existent products.
Now they are asking for parang reservation fee. Wala pa sila. There is nothing with finality. And you want us to make a reservation by depositing money. You must be crazy. Bakit ako magbili ng ganong style? Because the procurement law of the Philippines, this country, does not allow you to buy something which is non-existent or to be produced as yet. It's a very exacting law, and you must always reckon with, prosecution and going to jail.
President Duterte is requesting private hospitals to increase the number of beds for COVID-19 patients. The president said it will go a long way in the concerted effort to address and survive the pandemic.
Padagdagan lang sana ninyo because still the numbers are increasing the infections vary. In some places, and in some provinces or cities, there's a fast recovery rate, while others are lagging behind. And probably this is because of yung prior infection na hindi na-detect during the height of the pandemic. So, meron pang noong naiwan, baka ho kayo makatulong talaga sa bayan. I am appealing this for the country and for the people. Alam naman ninyo na hindi lang tayo ang tinamaan. So, your help will go a long way to remember, everybody will remember someday that there was this great epidemic that passed by our lives, and we were able to deal it with a lot of mutual help and pagpatulong ng kababayan.
A Data and Safety Monitoring Committee, or DSMC, for the World Health Organization Solidarity Trial will be formed by the Interagency Task Force's Sub-Technical Working Group on Vaccine Development. The committee will make written recommendations to continue, modify, suspend, or terminate the study. DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña said the Sub-Technical Working Group on Vaccine Development will continue to oversee the clinical trials under the WHO Solidarity Trial until these are finished. The hospital sites for the WHO Solidarity Trial are the Philippine General Hospital, Manila Doctors Hospital, San Lazaro Hospital, Lung Center of the Philippines, St. Luke's Medical Center, Quezon City, Research Institute for Tropical Medicine, Makati Medical Center, the Medical City, St. Luke's Medical Center BGC, Vicente Soto Memorial Medical Center, De La Salle Health Sciences Institute, and Southern Philippines Medical Center. Meanwhile, the Department of Health lauded the RITM for having tested a total of 254,846 samples to 214,209 unique individuals as of September 11. According to the latest DOH data, the RITM has conducted an average of 1,803 samples per day in the past 7 days. DOH Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere said that with the RITM's achievement, the Philippines now boasts the highest testing capacity among the countries in the Southeast Asian region, even topping richer neighboring countries such as Japan and Singapore. President Duterte is urging the public to ignore criticisms being hurled by the so-called Yellow Group against the government's COVID-19 response. The chief executive said that believing what the opposition is saying will only put more stress on everyone.
Ang COVID virus is still around. And the reason why is there is less ratio and proportion between other countries. Mababa talaga tayo. You should know that. And wag ho sana kayong maniwala dyan sa mga dilawan, opposition, na hampas dito, hampas doon, kung anong pinagsasabi. For as long as the virus lives in this planet, we are put in real danger. Kami dito lahat, Senator Go, Secretary Galvez, Secretary Roque, Secretary Lorenzana, Secretary Anyo, we are not here. We did not join government to lie. We do not have any obligation at all to lie. Bakit kami magsinungaling na hindi namin trabaho yan at hindi naman kami pumasok sa trabaho para yan lang magsinungaling?
President Duterte will most likely extend the declaration of national state of calamity in the country due to the pandemic. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said Duterte will likely extend Proclamation 929 that placed the entire Philippines under a state of calamity for 6 months, considering that there is still no available vaccine against the disease. The Philippines is placed under a state of calamity for 6 months unless earlier lifted or extended as circumstances may warrant, according to the proclamation. The proclamation was issued last March 16 and set to expire on September 16.
Most likely po dahil habang wala pong bakuna, habang walang gamot sa COVID, patuloy po ang epekto ng pandemya.
More than 200,000 overseas Filipino workers or OFWs displaced by the COVID pandemic have already come home. Secretary Carlito Galvez reported to President Duterte that 80,000 more from different countries are expected to return before the year ends. Galvez also reported to the President that around 3,000 Filipinos in Sabah need to be repatriated.
We are trying our best to appeal to the humanitarian sense of the Malaysian government to please help our citizens in your country, as we would do for your citizens if they are in our country.
Meanwhile, the President has ordered the Department of Foreign Affairs to help the stranded Filipino seafarers abroad. The President said there are reports that ships are out in the open seas because some countries won't allow it to dock due to the COVID pandemic.
Kindly check and do a validation report kung meron bang mga Pilipino na stranded sa inyong lugar in the area of your responsibility in other countries where you are assigned. It pains me to realize that nandito ako and I cannot help Filipinos who are struggling even just to exist and not live. You live one day at a time doon. Kindly check on this and maybe we can also request your corresponding requests to the government, the home government ninyo. Pakigawa na lang that all you can, whatever that effort is, try to just go out and help the Filipinos. Sana.
Still to come, U.S. Lance Corporal Joseph Scott Pemberton to face another trial in the United States. And DepEd halts transferees from private schools. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues. You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. The American serviceman convicted for killing a Filipino transgender in 2014 but pardoned by President Rodrigo Duterte would still face court-martial proceedings in the United States. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque said U.S. authorities made the promise as U.S. Marine Lance Corporal Joseph Scott Pemberton was deported Sunday morning. Pemberton was granted absolute pardon by Duterte almost 6 years after killing Jennifer Laude inside an Olongapo City motel in October 2014. Before the pardon, the Olongapo City Regional Trial Court Branch 74 had ordered Pemberton's release for good behavior under the Good Conduct Time Allowance Law, or GCTA. Roque, meanwhile, denied the claim made by Laude's mother, Julita, that Duterte had promised her to keep Pemberton in prison while he is in office. Roque said the president's promise was to ensure justice for the death of Jennifer. He confirmed that Duterte had given financial aid to the Laude family. He also insisted that the president only erased his remaining time in prison, but not the truth that Pemberton is a convicted killer. The 4 rail services in Metro Manila on Monday increased their passenger capacity by at least 30% as they implemented the eased physical distancing policy. In a Facebook post, the MRT3 said the reduced distance between passengers has increased its maximum capacity from 153 to 204 or 33.3% rise per train. The Light Rail Manila Corporation, operator of the LRT-1, said the new policy has also increased its passenger capacity from 155 to 204 or 31.6%. The Philippine National Railways also recorded about 5% increase. PNR's DMU Rotem trains also increased their maximum passenger capacity by up to 4.05%. While physical distancing requirements have eased, other strict health and safety protocols in public transportation remain mandatory, such as wearing a face mask, face shield, temperature check, placement of plastic barriers, regular disinfection, and in some cases, a no-talking policy. Migration of learners from private schools to government schools has stopped. As of September 14, enrollment in the private sector has significantly improved to 2.08 million or 47% of the previous school year's enrollment from barely 7,300 in June 2020 or 0.36% of last year. Education Secretary Leonor Briones explained that migration stopped as the economy gradually reopened. Education officials earlier said private school students were migrating to public schools as their parents lost jobs or shut down their businesses. Briones, however, raised concern over the suspension of operations of around 800 small schools nationwide. She said government is looking for ways to help teachers from these private schools to cope with their loss of income. Total enrollment for school year 2020-2021 has increased to 24.3 million as of September 14. Of the 24.3 million enrollees, 22.24 million have signed up in public schools. Farmers in Agusan del Norte are earning amid the COVID-19 pandemic as the Department of Agrarian Reform supports them from harvesting to selling in the markets. Jennifer Peña Gaetano has the story.
The members of the San Isidro Upland Farmers Multipurpose Cooperative in the municipality of Santiago, Agusan del Norte continue to gain high profit amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Their gross sales has reached more than 37 million pesos from the abaca fiber, which they recently delivered to Baybay Leyte. Sergio Baguhin, chairperson of Avancenia Beneficiaries Farmers Multipurpose Cooperative in Cabadbaran City, expressed that their livelihood has also been affected due to the pandemic. However, they are able to cope and pull through from a difficult situation because the members continuously work together to increase production of rice and make a profit.
Ang among kooperatiba nakapanahon sa pandemya nakahatag ni og mga more or less 1,000 bags nga milled rice og nagkantidad kini sa mga almost mga 3 million.
With the help of the Department of Agrarian Reform, the Arbos of Agusan del Norte are also generating profit from their produce. They were given accreditation pass, allowing them to deliver their products to the market.
Kini nga pamaagi ang ilang mga produkto mapadali ug dili mausik kay matabangan man sila sa pagbaligya sa ilang mga produkto ngadto sa mga marketing places.
Ellen Toralba of the Agusan del Norte ensures farmers from various ARB organizations in the province that their products such as vegetables and rice will all be sold.
Kini sila, more than 1 million na ang ilang kita sa pagbaligya sa ilahang mga rice. No? Naa sila sa rice trading. Nga ilang na sold out ngadto sa mga local LGUs, secret nga mga barangay, ug uban pa nga mga pribado nga mga buyers.
For the PNA Newsroom, I am Jennifer Peña Gaetano of the Philippine Information Agency, Caraga.
The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources in Central Visayas opened the 57th Fish Conservation Week celebration on Monday. BFAR Central Visayas Director Dr. Alan Poquita underscored the fight against corruption and the need to safeguard the country's marine resources. Poquita led the signing of the Pledge of Commitment on Good Governance and No to Corruption, which has been a nationwide advocacy pushed by the Department of Agriculture. He noted the need for collective efforts to focus on marine conservation measures effectively and cost-efficiently implemented without any shade of graft and corruption. The 57th Fish Conservation Week observance will run until Friday, September 18. In our business news, the Department of Energy has opened the bids submitted by parties interested to explore untapped energy resources in the West Philippine Sea under the Philippine Conventional Energy Contracting Program. During the opening of bids Monday, DOE said the bidders for the 4 nominated areas under the PCECP have passed the agency's requirements. Troika Giant Power Corporation submitted a bid for nominated area number 5 or the Mindoro-Huyo Basin. Manny Pangilinan's PXP Energy Corporation eyes exploration deal in nominated area number 6, and Dennis Uy's Udena Energy Corporation targets nominated areas number 7 and 8. DOE launched the PCECP in 2018 to invite stakeholders to invest, explore, develop, and produce Philippine indigenous energy resources. DOE Secretary Alfonso Cusi said bolstering the oil and gas exploration will help the country to meet its power requirement of over 43,000 megawatts by the year 2040. The government assures that the Bayanihan to Recover as One Act, the stimulus program signed into law on September 11, has sufficient funding. National Treasurer Rosalia De Leon said Bayanihan 2 is adequately covered by debt service, savings, and additional income. Aside from borrowings and additional income, Bayanihan 2 authorizes the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas to make additional direct provisional advances to the government to finance expenditures to address and respond to the COVID-19 situation. It said the additional funding can be accessed as long as they don't exceed 10% of the average income of the national government for fiscal year 2017 to 2019. The cash advance from the BSP should be tapped within 2 years from the effectivity of Bayanihan 2 and shall be repaid before the end of 1 year when it was availed. BSP has already extended a 300 billion funding through a repurchase agreement that would be used to purchase government securities. Up next, Cebu Governor Gwen Garcia maintains they will not meddle in Manila Bay rebeautification project. And more jobs and medical services are being offered in Albay and Agusan del Norte. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. The Manila Bay beautification project has nothing to do with the cease and desist order issued against the 2 dolomite mining firms in the southern Cebu town of Alcoy. Cebu Governor Gwendolyn Garcia said the province is not opposed to the nourishment program for Manila Bay. The concern of the province are the violations committed by the mining firms Dolomite Mining Corporation and Philippine Mining Service Corporation, which may cause environmental degradation in Alcoy. Garcia said the 2 companies were allowed to extract dolomite for export as raw materials to Korea and Japan, but not to have a permit to sell and transport to domestic markets. The governor said the province is placing the 2 companies under tight watch in line with a campaign against illegal quarrying. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque last week said Malacanang respects Cebu Province's decision to stop the firms from supplying dolomite sand for the Manila Bay project. The city government of Borongan in eastern Samar has created a public health and safety task force to boost its fight against COVID-19. Mayor Jose Ivan Dayan Agda said the team headed by Romeo Alexis Devora of the city's legal office and its top members, composed of health professionals, will be the implementing arm of its COVID-19 interagency task force. The PHSTF will complement and supplement activities of the IATF. The city government has also designated personnel to ensure that business establishments are compliant to the minimum health protocols and to ensure the overall operations of the city's frontline team are well coordinated. To date, the city has confirmed a total of 9 coronavirus cases. 8 of them have already recovered from the disease and 1 remains isolated. Mayor Sara Duterte reminds beer houses in Davao City not to serve liquor despite the scheduled lifting of the city's liquor ban. More on these and other news from the provinces from Benj Bondo.
Beer houses in Davao City are still not allowed to serve liquor to customers despite the lifting of the liquor ban on September 21. Mayor Sara Duterte says beer houses are still on the negative list of the Department of Trade and Industry that are prohibited to operate, along with kids' playrooms and cockfighting arenas. However, establishments such as restaurants and sing-along bars whose primary products are not liquor can serve alcoholic beverages to customers. Duterte is set to issue an executive order this week to lift the city's liquor ban imposed since April as part of the health protocols to contain COVID-19. Meanwhile, Dagupan City Mayor Mark Brian Lim has ordered the temporary closure of public and private cemeteries in the city from October 30 to November 2. In an executive order issued by Lim, the cemeteries will only be opened during the prohibited days for burial or cremation purposes. Lim encouraged the public to schedule their visit to their departed loved ones to prevent overcrowding in cemeteries. Dagupan City has 26 active COVID-19 cases as of September 13. In Aurora Province, military troops participated in a 5-day community support program refresher training on Monday as part of the government's continuing efforts to be more responsive to the needs of the communities. The refresher training aims to equip the troops with basic knowledge and skills in dismantling communist activity in Sierra Madre. After the training, the participants will serve as the CSP operators in anticipation of their immersion in the community to end the local communist armed conflict. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
And here's the latest in our community billboard. Job seekers in Albay are invited to the ongoing 2020 Dole Albay online job fair. More than 3,000 local job vacancies are being offered to applicants. Among the vacancies are online English teachers, senior WordPress developer, content writer, welders, auto mechanics, company nurses, IT technicians, drivers, and many more. The virtual job fair is also expected to help engage job seekers and employers and provide an avenue to advertise and facilitate filling up vacancies. The job fair is open until September 25. In Agusan del Norte, over 1,000 residents from 5 barangays in the town of Las Nieves are expected to benefit from the local government's 5-day service caravan. The beneficiary barangays are Casiklan, Durian, Ibuan, Lingayaw, and Maningalao. Residents can avail of free medical services, a feeding program, anti-rabies vaccination, haircut, mobile birth registration, online registration of persons with disabilities, among others. The 5 barangays are beneficiaries of the retooled Community Support Program under Executive Order Number 70, which seeks to end local communist armed conflict in the countryside. The caravan opens until September 20. Meanwhile, the Department of Education and the U.S. Embassy on Monday launched a 9-day virtual series in support of the country's transition to digital learning amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The series was designed by a team of American English language specialists in the United States to meet the specific needs of Filipino teachers and students. They will also provide resources to assist with the delivery of online and other non-face-to-face classroom instruction. The series will run until October 23. Here's another look at today's biggest stories. President Duterte approves filing of charges against Philhealth executives. President Duterte requests to the public to ignore criticisms hurled against the COVID-19 response. Lance Corporal Joseph Scott Pemberton to face another trial in the U.S. And Cebu province says it will not meddle in Manila Bay rehabilitation project. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, check our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC13. And at this point, we would like to greet our News and Information Bureau Director, Ma'am Gigi Arcilia Agtay, a very, very happy birthday from your PNA Newsroom family. Stay safe and have a great day. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day and stay safe, everyone.